Hello and welcome to another episode of the Business Growth Accelerator. Brandon, your Chief Marketing Strategist, is here with another fantastic interview. Today we are talking with Miss Tracy Kelly, who is a phenomenal entrepreneur with a heart of gold. Tracy is a mom on a mission to help parents of high school age special needs children prepare for their IEP meetings through her revolutionary new systematic step-by-step approach to IEP prep. Driven by her own personal journey through the IEP process for her son, Tracy's passion lies in serving other parents who may face difficulties when it comes to their child's IEP. Recognizing the need for a comprehensive IEP meeting prep solution for parents, she created the IEP Advantage course. It is a groundbreaking resource that aims to set a new standard across the USA for parents' IEP meeting prep. Upon completing the IEP Advantage course, parents will transform by becoming informed, empowered, and well prepared as advocates for their children. Tracy's mission is to equip parents with the knowledge and understanding of the IEP process, enabling them to confidently participate in their IEP meetings and be a champion for their child's rights. It's Tracy's vision to create a community of IEP parents by bridging the gap between parents and lack of IEP knowledge and the rest of the school's IEP team. These IEP parents can give their children the gift of an exceptional, individualized education, knowing they did the best they could and therefore setting their children on a path for a brighter and more promising independent future. And with that, let's get on with the show. Hey, Tracy, welcome. It's so glad to have you on the show today.
Hey, Brandon. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It's been a while since we have caught up since Funnel Hacking Live last year.
I know. What a great event.
It
It was
was an
great to
absolute
see it.
fantastic event. I definitely recommend anybody should be there to one, network and connect with some amazing people, but two, to
Mhm.
see some great speakers talking about all things marketing and sales. So what's been going on since Funnel Hacking Live?
Wow. So honestly, I started right before Funnel Hacking Live a few months prior. I started this huge project and I was building up my course in one pager. And my project is helping parents of school age special needs children prepare for the IEP meeting. I don't know. Are you familiar with any special needs children personally or no?
Not personally, no, but my wife is a teacher, so I am somewhat familiar with IEP. She does talk about them. She doesn't tell me specifics. Obviously, she's
Yeah.
doing it, but she mentions that, hey, I have a new
Yeah.
student, he's on IEP and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. And a little bit stressful for her on her end and kind
Absolutely.
of handling and dealing with children on IEPs, teaching specifically to them.
Yeah.
But by the time everything is worked out, the students end up thriving by the end of the year.
Yeah. That's awesome. And yeah, on your wife's end, as a teacher, as a staff member of the school, as a therapist, it is very challenging because there are so many kids in special ed. About 15% of almost 15% of kids in America are in the special education, they receive special education services at school. And all those kids, which equates to about 7.2 million, they all need an IEP. And the school, your wife, that the staff, everyone is familiar with, at least familiar with what an IEP is. It's a legal document, so they have to be prepared. They have to know what they're talking about to show up at these meetings. For my end, for our end, as parents, you go and you want to put your kid into public school and your child has special needs and you think, wow, this is great. I'm going to have some support. And I heard I get services. So you go that route and they tell you, okay, there's this meeting, we got to have this IEP meeting, which means individualized education plan, which is giving your student special education, giving your child special education. You go to this meeting and you don't really even know you need to be prepared. It's a
Mhm.
legal meeting and it's intense and it could go from very nice if you're don't know what to do and you're the type of person to just agree because you don't even know what's going on and you're like the school probably has the best interest of my child in mind. So I'm just gonna, okay, you agree, you go along and be nice. Or it could be the other end of the spectrum where it's all out disagreements and fight. And a lot of times the parents either don't even know what an IEP is, or maybe they're slightly familiar.
Mhm.
Even if they're somewhat familiar, they probably still don't at that point have a good grasp of what they really need to know and what the laws are and what their rights are. So it's almost inevitable that at some point during the process, the parents are really going to struggle. I
Mhm.
really struggled and decided to take on the task of changing that because the meetings when I enrolled my child first got really ugly really fast. And we eventually withdrew my child from that program. And just a lot of things were falling apart. And we didn't really get what we wanted in the IEP. We kind of had to go along. We almost felt bullied by the school district.
Mhm.
It was a tough situation. But in all honesty, if I understood the IEP and the meeting process and all the laws and regulations and everything involved, it would have went much better. But unfortunately, at that time, I didn't know. And so when I left that school district, I just said, man, like my kid needs to be in school. He's smart. And I have to figure this out because he needs to have a good experience. There's no reason why it has to be such a disagreement and such. So way back then, my son's 21 now. So way back 2005, I created a program. And when I went to the new IEP meeting in a new school district, at the end of the meeting, they're like, wow, never seen a parent so prepared. This was just like such a great experience. And they said, could you imagine if every parent was as prepared as you? It would literally change the special education process. And I was just like, wow, like I created something. I have to share this with parents. Just like way back before Facebook and the internet was starting out. And I had friends and forums and people that I can connect with, and I would burn my system. I called it the IEP help desk because I'd burn it to a CD and I would mail those out to parents saying, here, I can help you with the IEP process. I created something, it works. It's like brilliant. So fast forward all these years, my youngest son's graduating high school last spring. And I thought, I wonder if there's anything out there to help parents. Are parents still struggling? And I start looking in all different Facebook groups, and all I'm finding is same shit, different year.
Oh,
It's
man.
like parents are still struggling with the same problems. There's nothing out there to help parents at the level of really breaking it down. First, understanding their child's disability, then understanding how their disability fits in the school system, who services them, the whole idea of the IEP and getting them prepared to give your child this best opportunity that you can as a parent. You know, it's a process. It's a lot involved, but I broke it down and I revamped it, was building it out in one pager, as I was saying earlier, built my entire course. It was great. And the user end of one pager wouldn't function. Say I sold you the course and you
Mhm.
entered all your information, wouldn't save. I was just like,
Now, this is Russell's new program, One
right.
Pager, onepager.io,
Yes, it
right?
is. Yes,
Okay.
it is. Yes, it is. Yeah. So I was like deeply involved with some of the people who own and run it. I don't really want to name names, but they would tell me anything I need to hear. So I'd be quiet and just get on with my day. And then I started realizing like the more I contact them, the more the emails are running in circle. Oh, every time, can you show me an example of the problem? Really? Here's 5 links. I sent you these last week. It just wasn't getting anywhere. And it dawned on me, I have to find a new platform. I have to find a new way. And it actually worked out as a gift
Okay.
because the one pagers, you can't print them easily. They're not pretty. So I rebuilt the entire course. So it's even better because I had
Okay.
a whole new revision of it. And I took a few months this year and built it out on Adobe.
Okay.
So now they're fillable PDFs, they're reusable PDFs. I think it's brilliant because my system involves putting the different topics in different binders. Basically, like the modules of my course, the chapters are put into different binders. So it was a gift in disguise, but it was so frustrating during the process.
Gotcha. Yeah, I know building out the foundation can definitely be a daunting task, and you're moving that boulder up the hill. Once you get to that top and it
Yeah.
starts rolling down it, that's when everything starts to perk and flow for you. So before you got into the IEP world, what were you doing?
Wow. So mostly my son Spencer and my son Grant. So Spencer's 21 now, Grant's 18, so they're 3 years apart. This was almost 7 years ago we're going on. My son Spencer started a business. He was 14 going on 15 and my other one was 12ish, and started a handmade skincare business.
Okay.
And that's just taken off over these 7 years, wildly successful. So we're like, we order fulfill out of a house, we prepare products, have the workshop down in my basement. We built our new house 10 years ago. So 3 years into living there, we had the space in the basement, all that. So it was like, it was new, it was fresh, it was clean and unused territory. So we were able
Mhm.
to easily have space to build out the business. And so I've been working with my sons, helping facilitate the soap business for them, and which now my oldest son graduated college with his accounting degree, and now he's running his business full time. Like literally, just happened this spring. Yeah, so I've been an entrepreneur for a while, and doing that prepared me to move into the IEP space as well.
Gotcha.
Which you,
Yeah, that sounds quite the journey there to going from soaps to IEPs. Not many people make that big of a jump. So, since you've been doing it though for several years, what has been the biggest failure in both your startups,
mm,
if you've had any, and
yeah.
what did you learn from it?
Okay, so I would say with the soap company, this is so little, but this is so huge because it completely affected everything. We we're new entrepreneurs. I had no idea how to do anything. Obviously, my boys didn't,
Mhm.
and my husband didn't. And when my son decided he wanted soap, okay, we homeschooled him. We were like, okay, let's do this. Let's do this. It was like, figure it out. Long story short, we find this website. I could tell you the name, I could skip it, whatever you want. Anyways,
Yeah.
you're okay with it? All
Yeah.
right. So it was, maybe I should tell people so they don't make this mistake. It was freelogoservices.com.
Okay.
And what we didn't know then, but we know now, was that sure, like they design logos. You get the right to use them. When you buy that logo, like you can customize it, download it. Guess what? You don't own the rights to the image. They own it. So they can resell it. There was a guy we eventually found was selling like outdoor hiking blankets with our same mountain logo. It
Mm.
was like, what? This whole problem came up because my boys and I were going to be on a entrepreneurial TV show similar to Shark Tank with CBS. It was a new show that was coming out, and my sons had entertainment lawyers in California. Whole deal was going down. We were like about to be on the plane, and one of the issues that came up was who owns the logo, and we're like, we own the logo. Like, what are you even talking about? And that's when we discovered we don't own the logo. So that wasn't the reason the show, like, we were about to fly down. It got shut down in production like the next week. And like, literally, it was like, shh, didn't hear another word. After being in contact with all the producers and interviews, and like everything was just moving forward, it was great. It was like the most exciting thing. But that created the problem of having to rebrand over 100 products. Like, literally, every label is unique that we have designed. So we had to go back and design those all. It was like our signage, like everything, our branding, everything changed because of this logo issue. So it was definite a big experience. So that same one, the entertainment lawyers was a patent and trademark lawyer. So she helped us get our first trademark. We now have four, but we like learned not to mess with that. When you got something, you got to jump on it. It's who gets it first.
Yeah, you
So
definitely have to protect your IP. Wow, that's an interesting,
yeah.
very interesting story. First I've ever
Yeah,
heard.
something so minor, right? It's really
Right.
like when you're creating a business, you don't really think about that. So there's a great lesson to be learned there. As far as a failure with the IEP, really my only issue is that whole one pager issue I just went through with you. So
Mm.
that was quite a horrible experience. And through that all, my 18-year-old son broke his neck last in October, 7 months ago. So we
Wow.
were going through that was 2 days after coming home from Fun Hacking Live. So, it was like you met my son Grant, who was
Yeah, he's
oh,
an amazing young man, and
yeah,
it was super cool to see him there and learning.
was
And
so excited. The whole ride home from Funnel Hacking Live, he was in ClickFunnels too and building out his whole website. He was so excited and so motivated. When we got home Tuesday and that Friday that happened.
yeah,
So yeah, that kind of changed the
pretty
trajectory for a short while.
He's doing okay now, recovered and all
He
that.
is. So you wouldn't know if you saw him. You wouldn't even know anything happened to him, but he's still working through pain.
Okay.
Definitely still having some pain throughout his elbow down and in his back and stuff. It's hopefully he'll start to get better. He's trying a lot of different supplements, trying not to do the pharmaceutical route,
Mhm.
manage the pain. So it's been a bit challenging, but proud of him. He's definitely coming along there. So those I would say were probably my two biggest challenges with both businesses.
Gotcha. Wow, those are two great stories. I appreciate you sharing that. You've definitely been through a lot these past couple months, let alone past couple years. And
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that you had the technical difficulties with one pager. I used the software myself, and I haven't had that issue with my one pager that I did make. So I hate to hear that you had that difficulty.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
definitely on certain page types or elements that you're using.
Okay.
So the ones that Russell tends to use more often, there's no problem with those.
Yeah. Gotcha.
If
I'll
you're
keep
like
that.
creating a lead page and stuff, it's probably working fine.
Yeah.
I was doing something more intensive where I was having like long form people answer questions and things of that sort, and those weren't functioning.
Gotcha. I'll keep that in mind then when I build mine out to do it like Russell then.
Yeah, or just test it quickly and see if
Hmm.
it's functioning before you build out an entire course. I'm talking over 60 pages. I
Wow.
created 61 pages. Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow.
Crazy work.
So, as you mentioned, you've been doing this for quite some time, it's like over 7 years. Is that right?
Yeah.
All right. So, what advice would you give someone wanting to pursue an entrepreneurial type career and starting a business?
I'd say you absolutely should do it. I would say that to me, and nowadays with things that are available to us, like the internet, like even I almost think it's a better time spent than going to college. Unless you're going to get a specific degree that gives you a title like a doctor, lawyer, engineer. Yeah,
Mhm.
I could see a place for those people. Definitely the robotics, computer science, all that is necessary, but like just gen ed degrees, like with the way the outlook with AI placing a lot of those people, taking the time now to learn the internet and to grow a business online. It's so exciting. It's so much fun. There's always stuff to learn. It's like getting in a car and driving to Florida, like you can't stop because there's always something new along the way. It's something new that you're picking up, learning, experimenting with. It's been a fun journey because I went from ecom, the soap company, to working on course, which is completely a digital product. So I kind of like taking on the challenge and the fun and having some of the skills in my pocket already that I've learned along the way has definitely been helpful. So I would say just dive in, perhaps start with ClickFunnels and Russell Brunson trainings. Great place to start.
Okay.
But I think I almost feel like, especially for youth today, like if you're not finding your space online, I think it's, I think it's could be detrimental to your future.
Yeah, the tech world has exponentially grown, I would say, in the past 3 or 4 years. And, even 2 years when everything was shut down, all you had was your device connected to the internet for any type of connection. There were huge advancements in the way people communicate and how reliant we've become on the tech that is around us. I'm a
Mm.
child of the 80s, and I remember my first piece of tech was a Nintendo system, and that was it. And it wasn't until I was nearly out of high school before I even had the internet, my own computer. Finally
Mhm.
got one to move into college. So now I'm buying a computer every year and a half.
Oh, it's so different. One, the prices have come down, and two, the technology advances so quickly. You have to upgrade. You have to. It's not
Yeah,
even an option. Your phone, your computer, it's old tech within a year or two.
yeah,
Even when you buy it, I'm pretty sure it's already old.
yeah.
Probably near obsolete.
It is. I milked my last MacBook for, uh, I think, going on 8 years or so.
Woo, that's
I was
pretty
like,
good.
yeah, I got a good lifespan out of it, but by
Yeah.
starting up now, it's a little bit aggy and buggy. So speaking of resources that we've been using, what are the
Yeah.
best resources that have helped you along the way?
Without a doubt, hands down, absolutely 100% ClickFunnels. That's been my basis and beginning to get into the online. In fact, before I even knew about ClickFunnels, I was buying a course from some woman about something like how to sell without being salesy. And
Hmm.
she had all these cool things like a countdown timer and like buttons, click here to register. And I was just like, who is she? Like, where is she getting this stuff from? And that's when I went on a journey. Like, I'm like, we need this for the soap company. Like, how do I do this? So that's how I found ClickFunnels. I was looking to see how I can do that. So definitely ClickFunnels is the place to start. And it's almost like this shiny object syndrome that just
Hmm.
you're
Yeah.
learning from ClickFunnels. Like all of a sudden you find something new and you're like pursuing that avenue for a while until something else distracts you. And then you're going over here. It's like crazy. So I think all of us have our own journeys and experiences. And especially if you hop on TikTok or YouTube and people are talking about how to start a business, how to make pictures or t-shirts and get online and sell them. There's different companies that provide those services. So you're hearing the same stuff, but using a different tool. But some of my favorite lately is Descript. And I can't not say Chat GPT because
Yeah.
oh my god, it's even my bio for you, you asked me for my bio, and I'm like, "You know what? This is a really good bio," and I thought, "I'm gonna put it in Chat GPT and say, 'Make this better.'" And then I was in 2 seconds, I was thinking, "It's my bio, like, it's not gonna give me anything good," but wow, it blew me out of the water. I'm like, "Ooh, this sounds, like, excellent." So you guys make sure you read my bio. But
Yeah. It'll definitely be in
but
the show notes. And I will agree. I read it and I was like, that's pretty good. I was like, did you work on this either through funnel scripts or any other
yeah,
type of software? But
yeah,
it was definitely well written. And
yeah.
it
We definitely but over these past couple of years, like, funnel scripts was the thing for copy without paying for a copywriter, and I used to enjoy funnel scripts, but now, like, you compare that to Chat GPT, and it's wow, like, I used to do a lot of work just to get an output or maybe 100 outputs, but
right.
and I'm not saying I wouldn't go back into there and use it here and there, but there's just something magical about ChatGPT where you can pop it in and you get 10 things in 2 seconds, and they're brilliant.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Both have their places. I like funnel scripts because it gives you the overall framework on how to write copy. And there's a lot of great trainings in there behind the application itself. So it's
For
good
sure.
for that. And then if you take that knowledge and then apply it to GPT, it'll just make GPT even better because you know and
Yeah.
understand the frameworks behind it. And
Yeah.
when it comes to this new AI technology, a lot of people were scared and a lot of people were saying that we're going to end up losing jobs and things like that. No, I think it's actually going to make jobs. And the ones that are going to be replaced are the are the people that don't know how to use the software. Because at the end of the day, that's all it is. It's software. It's coding without coding. If you're good at giving it instructions, then you're going to
Mhm.
get the outputs that you need, and those outputs are going to be good.
Yeah, that definitely is a big deal is knowing how to speak to ChatGPT to get the output that you want. Now, I did see this interview with Walter O'Brien. Are you familiar with him at all?
No,
So Billie Jean is marketing, you know him?
get his emails. Yep, I'm on his list.
Okay. Okay, so I'm a fan of his, and
Mhm.
watched this interview he did with this guy named Walter O'Brien. Walter O'Brien is like one of the most brilliant men in the world. His IQ is like 194 or 197, where Einstein was like 160. This guy's like a human computer. This guy's
Mhm.
like completely left brain. In fact, he's so interesting that he originally started working with AI back in the 80s.
Mhm.
So this has definitely been a slow rollout, but now it's built into something quite amazing. And yeah, so he talks about seeing the future. It's estimated like in each area, like accounting or retail or whatnot, that 90% of the jobs in each of those sectors will be lost or replaced by AI. So he says, I think it's more like 47% of basically, say, America or the world will be out of jobs. That's scary.
It, yeah, I can see where he's coming from, but again, it's a human is still needed to control the machine.
That's
I don't think we'll have 100% autonomy because it's still going to break down. It's still going to need repaired. It's still going to need coded.
yeah, exactly.
So I don't think we're going to lose the jobs. It's just the types of jobs are just going to transition to a
Yes.
different niche, so to speak, is the best way that
Yeah.
I can put it.
Walter O'Brien put it this way. He said, "There'll be those who are told what to do by the computers, and there are those that will be able to tell the computers what to do." Basically, he sees two classes of people.
Yeah, and it's that way now. You have the bosses, and then you got the
Yeah.
labor. Well, some people are meant to lead, and others are meant to follow instructions. I can say I'm not one to follow instructions very well. I will, but I don't like
Yeah.
to do it.
Yeah. And knowledge is power. And to evolve with the technology, that's why it's important to dive in and use the AI and get familiar with it, because you need to grow with it. You need to understand it. You need to know how to harness it. You need to know how to speak to it, because we're just at this ground level right now. It's going to exponentially take off, and you want to be part of that ride. You don't want to be left standing on the ground.
Right. Absolutely.
That's where I think it's so important for people to learn how to become entrepreneurs and create business for themselves. And it, it's changing, even without the goggles we'll all be wearing soon. The whole metaverse. I think there's so much coming that it'll blow our mind in these next 10 years.
I think there's going to be quicker than that. But yeah, it's definitely coming. So you mentioned Billie Jean is a pretty influential character. Who are three people who have been most influential in your life and this entrepreneurial journey that you've been on?
Wow. So I can't go without saying my family's my sons. They are inspirational. They are the reason why they've chose to do things, and I've chose to do things, and to grow with them and to have that experience. Not only influenced by them, but I'm motivated. And who isn't with their kids, right? Like, you just want the best, but this whole online world of marketing is so much fun. So definitely I'd stick with them as my first inspiration, but also for sure Russell Brunson
Yeah.
and the whole ClickFunnels crew. And I think the pivotal point with that was going to FHL. My first was 2021.
Okay.
And I remember wanting to go the year before, and that was like it happened. The FHL happened, and the COVID happened, I think a few weeks later, where everything shut down that March. And I really had wanted to go, but I was so afraid to go that I didn't go. Like, I just thought, like, these are like the entrepreneurs in the world, and I'm not one of them. Like, I had such a fear, but by the 2021, I was just, I have to go. And my son was
Yeah.
interested in going. And I'm like, great, because this is information that, like, you need to know. You need to grow. You need to understand, like, this is the foundation for online marketing. And I thank God we were brave enough to just do it and not worry so much, like, what if we do or don't fit in? And of course, that's so ridiculous, because when you
Mhm.
show up, I think there were 5,000 people. And last year there were 5,000 again or more. So definitely you fit in. It's definitely for us online marketers. No matter how much of a beginner you are, it's where you belong. So glad to make that decision, to that just elevated and excited and made it all happen. It was very cool.
And your third?
My third, ooh, I yeah, I don't know. So many shiny objects in my life. So let's just go with Billie Jean as marketing,
Okay.
because I have his whole treasure trove of all his teachings. And when I find my free time, when I'm not on funnel flicks, like, that's where I'm spending my time, saying, okay, what can I do now? Right now, I'm doing a course on YouTube because that's where one of the places I need to bring my IEP business. And it's really great because he's really good at just breaking stuff down to, like, for dummies 101, like, for me, like, for someone who just, like, really just says it needs the, okay, just start at the beginning and tell me like I'm not up here yet. Don't start talking up here. I'm down
Mhm.
here still. Yeah, it's definitely he's been influential along the way for me for sure.
That's
But
awesome.
yeah.
And I almost bought his treasure trove of marketing stick. I think he was selling it for $1. I think he was selling it for $1 at one time. And I was like, I know probably should be smacked because I'm sure it was some great information. But at the time, I was already
Yeah.
so into Cardone. I already had
Mhm.
his programs to go through. I had Russell's programs to go
Yeah.
through. And I think I had one other person. So to keep piling it on is not the best thing to do. So
I'm with you.
I am sad I missed out on it. Hopefully he brings it back. Maybe we'll bring it back for Black Friday and I'll hop into it and see what he
Yeah.
has to say. But in hearing your story for missing out on that first funnel hacking lab back in 2020,
Yeah.
I was kind of there. I didn't go to that one because I didn't know anything about ClickFunnels at the time,
Okay.
but I did go to GrowthCon in 2020.
Was
And
that a Grant Cardone program?
yeah, that was Cardone. I was selling insurance at the time, 2019 going into 2020 when I moved up here to Ohio, and I was just stuck. And I was looking for closes in it. And I got the free book, which led to the online mentorship course there that
Yeah.
led up to GrowthCon. And then GrowthCon happened, and then the world shut down. I was
Yeah.
like, that was fun. I want to do that again.
Mhm.
When FHL came around, since I was newly into the ClickFunnels deal
Mhm.
towards the end of 2021, I was like, that was the event that I needed to go to. And it was a tough choice to go from GrowthCon to ClickFunnels. But I
Mhm.
think I've definitely fit in a little bit better in the ClickFunnels crowd than in GrowthCon crowd.
Yeah, I can see it's different material for sure, and they're both good, definitely.
Yeah. The GrowthCon you were there to be sold to. Click
Yeah.
Funnel Hacking Live, there's definitely more education from the
Yeah.
speakers that are there. And the only person that's allowed to sell you anything is Russell.
Yeah.
It's good.
Okay. So 2021, are you not so grateful you were there to see Tony Robbins too? Phenomenal.
Oh my, like
That was
that
amazing.
wore me out.
Yeah. On
Eight,
top of all these amazing speakers we just went through, the whole experience was crazy. But to top it off, 6 hours of Tony Robbins, 7 hours,
yeah.
that was great. Thank God I was there with my son too. Glad he was there for that.
That was my first Tony Robbins experience. Like I've heard
Yeah,
of the
me
guy,
too.
I've seen him in the movies,
Yeah.
and I knew about him, but to experience one of his events was great. So I hoping he would be there the following year, but I didn't know how that all
Hmm.
worked. If he's one of those typical keynote closers, or if it was a one-time deal, but it was definitely worth it going.
Yeah. I'm like so grateful because that was just like beyond the icing on the cake. That was great. And it's going to be so interesting for FHL 2023 this year. I am so excited. My son Grant, we are so excited already. I booked my room, bought my ticket last year, booked my room
Mhm.
like probably right after I got home, and really looking forward. And Russell came out and said it's going to be like this whole different style. We're going to be focusing on the linchpin. I'm super excited. How do you feel? Are you looking forward to that?
Tickets bought,
Yeah.
rooms bought. Still trying to figure out the travel arrangements if I'm going to end up flying or taking the Bronco down
Yep.
and doing kind of like an overland experience that weekend prior to for a
Mhm.
little mini vacation to go into it. It's just that drive, Ohio to
Yeah.
Florida and back, 16 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to do that, but we'll see.
We're doing it.
You're driving?
Yeah, we did it last year, but we booked out condos for a couple weeks prior to that through our timeshare. We went down and had a bit of a vacation. Actually, we were down there all of September. We even went down for a week to Grand Cayman from Florida, go
Nice.
scuba diving, and then we came back and had a couple weeks at just around Orlando, just having fun at the pool, hot tub, sauna, working out. Like we had this whole little thing we were doing every day, just mostly focusing on work and relaxation more than going to the parks because we've done that so many times now. It was nice to just have a break and get ready for FHL, like the
Yeah.
build up. Are you staying at the actual hotel there?
Yeah, I stay at the resort. I made that mistake. GrowthCon, even
Yeah.
though I stayed like near MGM, I
Yeah.
stayed at the Luxor, which was like right next door. It was still
Oh
a
yeah.
mistake because you're still pretty far away. Like Vegas, even though
Yeah.
it looks close together, it's really
Yeah.
not. Even though the hotel was literally right next door, connected to the event
Yeah.
center, it just wasn't the same. The same people weren't around. It
Yeah.
just wasn't good. So it's always good to stay at the place where it's worth
Agreed.
it. Spend the extra couple extra bucks to do that.
Yeah.
So to swing back to what you're doing now with the IEP world and to help our listeners out who may have a
Mhm.
student that has an IEP, what's one common myth about the IEP process that you want to debunk?
So definitely a common myth is that the school districts are there for you, have your best interest at heart, and want to give your child the best. Because it's just the truth is they have to do sufficient, they have to do adequate. They don't have to give the best. And it's not that the staff doesn't care about your kid or want to do good, but it's literally it's the climate of the school from the top down, from a superintendent down. It depends on the
Mhm.
district. You might have these wonderful districts where really teachers can make a change, and you might have a district where the teachers are like their heart's in it, but they have to follow their paycheck and listen to their superiors. And unfortunately, sometimes parents don't know enough about the IEP and like it being a legal document, a legally binding contract. If you don't know what your rights are, you can easily get guided along by the school districts to almost go from something that's individualized to something that works with the managing the IEPs and the special needs groups. Because as you can imagine, there are 7 million kids across the US that
Mhm.
have IEPs, individualized education plans. But the reality is that the schools need a system to manage these kids. It makes sense, right? If you had a group of kids, you'd probably be like, hey, let's all go play with Play Doh right now, or let's all go do math. So to have to do something different for particular kids, it's a lot of stress on teachers
Mhm.
because the big deal is to mainstream all the special ed kids into regular classrooms. And that burden gets put on the teachers who love their children, want to give the best, but sometimes there's just money and command issues and it's a tough thing. So definitely one of the myths is like one that either there's two sides of it, right? There's the side where the school districts have my best interest, I can trust them and not worry about, of course they're going to do what's right. To a degree, probably it happens. And then there's the other side where parents hear the bad and the ugly and they hear it's like a nightmare with the school districts and they're out to get you and you have to fight. And so like parents come in really confused if they don't have a system like I created in place. If they don't really have a leg to stand on and know what they're talking about, they're just lost and confused and going by the advice of well-meaning friends, or maybe they don't even have that advice. Like you don't know what you don't know. And it's a tough place to be if you just don't understand to be prepared. It's like going to court and not having a lawyer and having no clue what you're standing up to talk about. This is your
Mhm.
child. This is their education. This is their discipline, how their quirks and special needs and the way they learn are going to be treated during the school day. There's nothing more important. Like it's important. And it's just mind blowing that there are not systems created until I came along with mine. There are like there are some that'll help you somewhat legally with some of the stuff, but there's nothing like mine that really dives into your child's disability and how it's going to fit in the school system and how they're going to serve it and how to monitor your IEP, how to be aware of the IEP and all the pieces that play into this puzzle. It's a really big deal. It's unfortunate that most parents run on myth and depending on what they've heard. Like that, all they know walking into IEP, because you don't even understand your kid's disability when they're, how do you understand the whole shebang that goes on in school? The whole group of people that are servicing your child, especially maybe a child with autism, has a lot of different pieces, a lot of different parts, team members, therapists that have to join in to make it a possibility to even get that kid functioning at school. And then kids are on all levels. There's kids with autism, with Asperger's, like my son, who are very bright and still have a lot of social issues, which rolls over into behavior in the classroom and
Mhm.
functioning and like able to execute commands versus some kids who are fully nonverbal, or there's even other kids who are blind or deaf or just ADD, Down syndrome. There's like a whole gamut of different types of needs. That's a huge burden on the teachers for them to try to understand, because teachers go into teaching because they love the idea of educating, and they tend to love the special needs kids, but it's hard. Year after year, they're getting a whole new group of kids. It's like learning everyone all over again and all new IEPs. And there's a lot of demands at their end, how they have to execute that legal document. So I'm really excited to be this bridge between the parents not having really any knowledge, or maybe wrong knowledge, or
Mhm.
fears that are unfounded, to bring them up to a level where they can meet up with the rest of the IEP team and show up not just full of emotions because they're scared, they're unsure, they care about their kid, and then someone says something that makes them feel like they don't care about their kid, and it's like this whole, like, at some point in the game for the parents, it can get ugly, it can get scary, it can be stressful. There's a number of emotions that are not good emotions. And I just want to give my system to help these parents so it doesn't have to be that way. I realize in hindsight, if I understood everything that I know now, my IEP initially would have just been so different.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I can reach parents really at any stage during their school years, but even the younger, to just start that foundation strong. Help parents know what to do in a meeting, know what to say, because it's intimidating. You might be sitting in there with 9 other people around the table, and they're all educated and up to date on the laws because they have to know the laws to sit
Yeah.
down. They can't tell you wrong information. They can't represent the school district that way. So yeah, it's a big deal.
Yeah, I know
So,
we as parents definitely put a lot of trust into the systems that we've gone through and grown up with, that have been taught that this is it. This is the
yeah,
best for your kids. And as the years go on and we see the news stories and hear things about
yeah,
teachers nowadays in the school districts and how the kids are not not succeeding like they should be, a lot of the blame gets put on the teachers and
yeah,
the system. But I do know that it does stem a lot from the home, because the parents should be the first teachers no matter what. And the school system should be the supplement to
yeah,
what the parents do. But it comes from the generation before and the generation before,
yeah,
to put in the proper systems and provide that structure for the children to succeed. So we'll get back to it. I'm sure there's going to be another reset here soon, the
yeah,
education system, and hopefully
yeah.
it'll be for the better, because
Mhm.
I think it does need to be revamped a little bit. It was set
Yeah,
up based on an
yeah,
industrial age. We're now in a tech age.
yeah.
It definitely needs to be revamped.
Couldn't
So
agree more.
I've asked you a bunch of questions here.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn the tables a little bit and give you the interview we had. If you could have,
Okay.
if you could step into my shoes right now, what would you have asked yourself that I didn't ask you yet?
It's a good question. I feel like I talked a lot. So let me let's talk about the marketing of what I'm doing, because that's a whole nother side
Yeah,
to, like, I built this course. I think it's amazing. I think it's gonna help so many parents. So the next challenge is, right? Like, you could have a great course, but if no one knows about it, that gets you nowhere, right? So now is the time for moving on to the marketing part of it, which is a whole nother challenge that I'm really excited about, because I see marketing as reaching out, one, through people I know that are related to special education in some way, including my teacher friends and therapists and people I know along my path because of my son, and two, local organizations, national organizations, and then also getting online and reaching directly to parents, which is another marketing challenge because, for example, on Facebook, I just can't say, hey, send this ad to everyone with autism or children with autism. They don't let you
yeah.
discriminate. for understandable reasons. You can't find people that way. So it's the challenge of getting creative and trying to figure out how do I reach my people? And it's going to be fun. And also getting onto social media challenges or channels where I need to be present. It's eventually getting to podcasts and blogs and workshops that I'm going to use to sell my course. Like I have a lot of angles and ideas, and putting it all together is definitely taking time. It's a lot more than just getting on the internet and creating a course. However, you might do that with PDFs like I did, or
Mm.
maybe you speak on video and do all speaking, maybe hand out a workbook or whatnot. There's options on how to do a course. But then to take it a step further, you have to decide how you're going to promote your course. And to me, I see it as a fun challenge and I look forward to it. But my end goal is to get to parents, to let people know I'm there because I want to I would love to see my product, my course is a standard, a system that parents know about. They can go to, maybe teachers can tell parents, hey, if you're struggling, there's this. Like
Mm.
right now, like there's parents are showing up at meetings, not even know what an IEP is, not knowing that's something they need to prepare for. Like you wouldn't go to court unprepared. Parents need to know this program exists because it's a game changer and it'll just make their lives and hopefully the end goal is the child's experience at school, the child's education. And the way I see it, if the parents are able to give this great IEP because they've learned everything they need to know and they can go in confident and do a great job, and then they can pass this on to their children, therefore, you're having a good relationship with the school, your child's getting the services they need, you have a nice communication between the school and you if there's problems or not, and then that'll go on to serve the child. Perhaps they'll become more independent. The goal is these children are going to be adults. Someday, we parents aren't going to be there. So if you know you can take this and give your child a foundation in school where your child has a positive school experience, like I feel they deserve, that will absolutely affect them later in life. Because ask anyone, what was your experience like in high school or school? And some people have horrible stories. Some people had a really good experience, but everyone's had some kind of experience. So if I can influence the experiences and outcomes in children's lives because they had a good experience in school, that excites me. That is where a huge piece of my motivation comes from. Maybe some kids will have or do have limitations. I do understand, but you never know the potential of kids that could start unfolding when the right supports and people are in place. I really am excited to get my program out as much. I think I will be named as a speaker for US Autism, which I'm
Okay.
really
Wow.
excited for my son. And I have spoken for them over, it was like pre-COVID, right? And then their conferences fell apart since then and went
Mhm.
online. So definitely looking forward to picking up that piece and like just start moving forward with local organizations and branching out everywhere I can. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a challenge, and I'm just so excited to help change lives.
That's absolutely amazing. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Definitely loving your journey
Yeah.
that you've been going on here. I appreciate you joining me and speaking with me and helping me understand the IEP
Yeah.
world a little bit better. Even though my wife's teacher and I have an understanding of what she has to deal with the
Mhm.
students that are on these learning plans, to have an
Yeah.
advocate out there that to help parents navigate this world is absolutely phenomenal. Where
Yeah.
can people watching and listening connect with you to learn more about yourself and the program and what is out there to actually help them with the education of their children?
So right now I have the IEPadvantage.com. That's a place where you can find my course, link to my blog, podcast, workshops. Have a plan for the summer to really advertise and hopefully get a lot of my workshops out to parents. They're just like pieces of my course
Mhm.
that parents can experience and learn, and hopefully they'd be more interested in my course so that I could really help them. My goal is to help as many parents. I guess I should like put a number on that, like 1,000 parents this summer or something, but just thought of that right now. So I gotta give that some more thought. But my goal is to actually reach out with the idea like, hey, parents, let's use the summer to get absolutely prepared. So when fall comes, you can go back into your IEP meetings. You can be confident. You can know what you're talking about, know what you want to ask for, know how to help serve your child as best as you can. That's what I'm looking forward to leading into the summer. I also have a Facebook page right now. It's the IEP Advantage. And I'm still like in that growth beginner space. So I'm
Mhm.
not on YouTube yet. I have goals to get on there, Instagram, maybe TikTok without the dances. But so I have places I need to get to. I'm just not there yet. But yeah, so definitely the IEPadvantage.com as well as the Facebook IEP Advantage page.
Awesome. And as always, that information will be linked in the show notes below. So be sure to check that out along with the other resources that we discussed during this episode. So, one final question here. You've been doing this for a long time, you've gained a whole bunch of knowledge
Yeah,
along your way. Would you ever move into teaching others to become an IEP advocate?
absolutely. That's definitely one of the spaces that I'm hoping to fill with my course is teaching parents how to advocate for their kid. If they want to take that to another level, that's wonderful. I'm going to be sticking with the space of preparing parents for the IEP meetings and educating everything that has to do with that. I'm not actually moving into the advocacy space as far as helping individual parents with their child's individual needs. That's something that I look forward to bringing into my business and bringing people on board eventually. I'm just not there yet.
Okay.
It's definitely in my path.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Again, Tracy, it's been a pleasure. Thank you again for coming on the Business Growth Accelerator. I'm looking forward to seeing where your journey takes you, and I can't wait to see you this year at Funnel Hacking Live.
I know. I look forward to it too, Brandon. I appreciate the time you've spent with me and allowing me to talk about the IEP Advantage. I really appreciate it. I look forward to Funnel Hacking Live 2023. It's going to be exciting. We're going to have a great time. So that's a great way to end summer, right?
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
All
All
right.
right.
Thanks again. We'll see you soon.
All right. Thank you, Brandon. Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Business Growth Accelerator. If you loved what you heard today, please hit that like button and be sure to share this episode with your closest friends and family who may be in need of assistance with their child's IEP. For notes to all the resources discussed in the show, again, be sure to check out the show notes listed below. And if you don't ever want to miss another episode of the Business Growth Accelerator, head to bkxxenterprises.agency/podcast and sign up so you never miss another episode. I also throw in a bonus guide, a one-page marketing plan for you to help you conquer the local market, as well as my guide to profit secrets. So head to bkxxenterprises.agency/podcast to sign up today to your success.